Hi, my name is Siti and welcome back to the channel where we make educational technology easy for you. Today's video is all about Keynote on iOS, in particular on an iPad, and I'm going to show you everything you need to know about Keynote to get started right away. So let's dive into it with another flipped classroom tutorial. Now, first things first, make sure you have Keynote installed on your iPad and go ahead and open up Keynote. Now, Keynote is a presentation software and it's extremely powerful. Creating a new Keynote can be done by simply clicking on the plus icon in the top right corner. But do note, every Keynote presentation starts from a theme. Now, for this demonstration, we're going to select the theme with the motorbike. Now, this gives us a couple of extra elements that we can work with, and I will walk you through everything that there is to those elements. So let's go ahead and tap on that motorbike. Now, we have a brand new Keynote and it's called the showroom theme. Our Keynote environment has three significant areas. We have our slide selector on the left-hand side, we have our main workspace, and then we have the menu at the top. Now, in order to add different slides to your slideshow, simply tap the plus in the bottom left corner. So let's do that right now. And let's select the second template option. This is the one with the large motorbike showing. Now in Keynote, whenever you double tap on an element, you can then edit this element. However, note that when you only tap once, you will be presented with some formatting options, and that's what I would like to do first. So let's tap once on our motorbike. Now we've only tapped once, and the reason for that is because we want to tap on that paintbrush in the top right corner. So let's go ahead and tap on the paintbrush, and there we are presented with some formatting options. Now this works across all elements on your Keynote presentation: text, images, charts, or anything you put on your presentation. We're going to give this image a border. Now the border I'm going to select is going to be a chalk effect. So let's go ahead and select that chalk effect at the bottom, and then let's just go back to style. Now this border has been added for us. Now all that's left for us to do is choose a color and then a thickness or width for this border. So let's go ahead and select a width of 5 points and then change the color to be a soft blue. And there we go. You can now see that you've added a border onto your image. This literally took us a couple of seconds, and you can do this with almost any element. Let's do the same thing with the text. Let's tap once, press our little paintbrush, and you will again see there are some formatting options. Do note that at the top you have some submenus. We are currently, because we've tapped on a text, in the text option, but we can switch this back to style or go to a range where we can choose how far back our image is. This is the same way that you would layer different images in other programs. Now, what I'd like you to play with now in terms of text is I'd like you to change the paragraph style. So let's go ahead and select caption red, and let's then double tap that same text. This time we're double tapping because now we're going to type our own title. So I'm going to just type test title. We click on return to go to the next line, demo Keynote, and we are done. Let's go ahead and open up a third slide. So go ahead and tap on that plus icon, and then we're going to select a new slide. Now this new slide can be any slide. Just make sure that there is plenty of white space, as we're going to be adding some charts and tables. Now, adding extra elements onto a slide is super easy. Simply tap the plus icon in the top right corner, and then once you've done that, you will see you have some sub menus. The first is tables. The second is charts. Now there's three types of charts. You have 2D charts, 3D charts, and there are some interactive charts. The third option is shapes, and again there are multiple types of shapes available. And then the final option is to insert extra media. This could be an image, it could be a video, or some audio. Now again, this is what makes Keynote extremely powerful. You can use this presenter software to create animations and fully integrate other multimedia elements such as video and audio without any difficulty. So let's go ahead and select the first option, which is a table. Now we're going to tap any of these table styles. Now remember, you can swipe left and right to choose different styles, but I quite like this one. Tap once to get that brush icon in the top corner that allows you to change the formatting, or double tap on any of the elements to then actually input data. So let's go ahead and do that now. We're going to type test 1 and 2. So let's go ahead and put some data in there, test 1 and test 2. We're going to give our columns a heading as well. So let's say test A and then test B. Now you will quickly notice that working in Keynote on an iPad is super intuitive. It's just a matter of tapping the right spots and the right elements and then editing those using your formatting or by typing in the information that you want. Now let's say that I've made a mistake and the header for test A needs to go to where test B is. What I can do is I can tap it once and then I can simply tap and hold, which allows me now to move this around my screen. Again, a very good way of working with tables and data, and it just makes everything so much easier to use on a touch device. And that's how you can insert a simple table. Now, one final thing to note when you're using tables is that when you tap on your table once, you can add rows, remove rows, or do the same with columns. Now that icon is slightly hidden at the end of your rows and columns. Now when you tap on that, you can choose how many columns or how many rows you have in your table. This way you can simply add and take away rows and columns. Now let's open up a fourth slide, and for this slide we're going to use charts. So go ahead and navigate to the charts menu inside your plus or add an element. We're going to select the second, which is charts. And for this demonstration, we are not going to limit ourselves to 2D charts. We're actually going to have a play with a 3D chart. So go ahead and select any of these charts that you like. You can see because they're 3D, you can move them around in space and resize them. Now, once you have a chart in place, tap it once. And one of the options at the top will say edit data. This is where you will go to then edit the actual data used in this chart. It opens up a table and that's where you can input data. Now, what's really good about Keynote is that you will see that little cogwheel at the top left corner. And when you tap that, you can choose to plot your rows or plot your columns. This makes it super easy to then change your chart instantly and have it look different or have it reflect the actual brand identity you want to use in your Keynote. So let's go ahead and choose what we like, and then once we're finished, we will tap on done. And there we go, we now have a chart. But can you also move your slides around? Yes, you can. Let's go ahead and tap on the second slide and let's tap and hold this slide. And again, it's very easy. You simply move it around. Intuitive, quick, and easy to use. Now, if you would like to see what your presentation looks like, simply go to the first slide and press the play icon in the top right corner next to the paintbrush. This shows you exactly how your presentation will be reflected on the big screen. Now you can see it's a very static presentation because we haven't added any animations yet. And that's the final thing we're going to look at in this beginner's tutorial for Keynote on iOS. How can we add some animations? Well, let's navigate to our very first slide. And here on our very first slide, we're now going to add an animation, a transition from this slide onto the second. Now, where do we do that? Simply tap the slide in your slide selector and you will be presented with some options. Now, your standard cut, copy, delete options are there, but one of the options is transitions, and that's the option we want right now. So go ahead and select your transition. So we're going to select transition. And this is where we can now choose a different transition. So I'm going to choose the blinds because that's the most obvious one. And then I'm going to tap options. Now, why am I tapping options? Options gives you more control over the animation. It allows you to change the speed, direction, and sometimes even the entire effect. So I'm going to change the direction to up, and the duration, I'm going to make it a little bit longer so that you can really clearly see that transition. Scrolling down, you will see I can also choose when do you start this transition. Is it on tap or is it immediately after the previous transition? If you are using Keynote to create little stop motion animations, or if you're using it to create videos, then I would highly recommend that you set it to after previous transition. However, if you are using it to present, then on tap is probably the best option there. So let's leave it as it is, and let's just leave this slide. You will notice that there is now a small triangle on my slides selector, and the reason for that is because we've added a transition. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like when we play our presentation. Nothing happens, and as soon as I tap the screen, you will see the blinds animation starts running. and it transitions over into the second slide. So I would suggest that you just play around with your transitions. Now, it's very easy to overdo transitions, so make sure that you're limiting your transitions to 2 transitions per presentation, or simply have your slides transition from one to another without a transition. That's perfectly fine. Jump cuts are still appropriate. And that's all there is to Keynote on iOS, and in particular on an iPad. Now, if you enjoy these tutorials and if you found this beginner's tutorial helpful, do let me know in the comment section below. And if you would like to see some more advanced tips and tricks for Keynote, let me know in the comment section below, and I will make more videos on Apple Keynote on iOS. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. This was another flipped classroom tutorial.